I don't think it's become more or less important. I think the relativity of both of them is that if you want to use a song, you need to have it in some kind of recorded form for it to have value. And if you want to make a recording, you need a song. So I mean, the basis of it has remained the same. The forms of distribution are starting to change. And I think that clearly that always changes any industry, any form of change of distribution. And I think now, for example, we're in the equivalent of a 45 business, like the old 45 singles. But we're in the e-single business, if you will. Historically, in the 50s and 60s and into the early 70s, the single was the locomotive to sell the album. And that didn't change much all the way through people replacing their libraries with CDs. But what changed was people making the distinction that instead of buying an entire CD, which had 12 or 14 cuts, of which they only liked 2 or 3, they could now select those 2 or 3 and they could compile their own library. And it doesn't even have to be an album anymore. So it's changed the form of the business and made it much more personal in terms of personal programming, which is great, but it's just trying to find itself right now because it's going through dramatic changes. I think radio has remained pretty much unaffected because the general places that people listen to radio are usually while they're traveling. I think that terrestrial radio is going to be affected by satellite radio. And I think that how radio is being affected is if there is any erosion of its listener base because of iPods and MP3s, that means less advertising dollars because the radio's numbers go down in that city and advertisers will spend less to reach that demographic through that radio station. So that may have an impact. Whereas satellite radio is subscription, so they don't rely on advertisers. That's why they can target so many different types of audiences.